'Tis the time of year again when I try to learn to play In Dulce Jubilo by Mike Oldfield on the guitar. Enough of that for now. Well, Christmas is nearly upon us, hence the festive tunage, and so I thought this would be a nice time for a bit of a retrospective of the videos of the last year. So what's been good and what has been maybe not so good in the last year, but mostly let's focus on what's been good, because let's face it, out in the world at large there has been quite enough stuff that was not so good this year. So let's take a look, and we started off back in February with first ever videos. Branching into the world of YouTube, actually that's not strictly true. We had a couple of videos previously on playing the first edition of The Woods, various other bits and pieces, but this was the first dedicated attempt to trying to create a YouTube channel. And it's just as well that we did, really, because only a month later it was very difficult to see people. So I'm going to say that my highlights of the year to that point were very definitely the two shows that I was able to go to. That was Beachhead down in Bournemouth and Concord in Bristol. So great little shows. Probably not going to do either of those next year. In fact, I know Concord's not running. Pretty sure Beachhead won't be running either, but fingers crossed for some shows turning up at some point next year. But yeah, so that they were good. Also managed to get up for Dave's birthday party up at Foundry, which was especially good because Bring Out Your Lead ended up not being able to happen. So it was nice to have that big battle, put loads of toys on the table, and have a nice weekend fighting each other over piles of spoil. And then, of course, lockdown hit in. My big plan for the year was to do focus on the Dreamstone stuff. There's the 30th anniversary of Dreamstone. My plan was to put out the Kickstarter to launch in April to coincide with doing Salute, and then to have everyone's pledges fulfilled by September, which would be when the actual anniversary was. We ended up having to push that back because of lockdown and various other bits and pieces getting in the way, and so we pushed that back until July, which gave us a very narrow margin. I was kind of quite hopeful, having spoken to the caster, that we would be able to get the core sets cast up and sent out at the end of September to kind of mark the anniversary. That actually ended up being the end of October, beginning of November. But all of that first set for people who wanted to receive that ahead of the rest of the cast have now gone out. I'm still hoping that the remainder will be with us in the next month, prioritising getting people who live in Europe their miniatures ahead of whatever happens in January, which, let's face it, is not going to be good. Whatever your views on Brexit, whatever happens in January is not going to be good for getting goods either to or from Europe. So yeah, fingers crossed we'll get all of your European pledges out before that happens. But that occupied quite a lot of the early sort of part of the year, getting sculpts done and up together and ready for that, and also the game. That was quite a good fun time during the early part of lockdown, when we could kind of gather around a Zoom call and play test the Dreamstone role-playing game, which doesn't involve too much in the way of miniatures on the table, so it could be easily done over Zoom. And a bit of craziness there helped us all to plough through and keep sane, I think. But what lockdown also meant for us was that we got quite a lot more sculpting done than I would probably otherwise have done. So although I was planning to basically focus on Dreamstone and not do any Woods things this year, I have ended up sculpting, 20 or 30 new models. If you include the Spriggans, possibly 35 new models for the Woods, which will be, well, the Spriggans, hopefully I'm picking up castings very soon. By the time you watch this, I may already have castings, but if not, I'll have them in another day or so. and so that Kickstarter funded quite recently. That was a fun thing. And the other thing that happened quite recently was that the book came out. I say came out, it's not officially out yet. I had a proof copy through from the printers a couple of weeks ago and looked through, and there were a couple of alterations to make, so I've made those. The second proof copy is on its way. I know quite a lot of people have pre-ordered that. Again, I'm very hopeful that I will have books for you before Christmas. They normally take about a week to send out proof copies, so I'm expecting that will be here the end of this week. Sorry, by the time you watch this, I should already have had it, but if not, it will be here by the end of this week. I get my times confused because I recorded this about a week ago from when you're watching this video. So the proof copies, hopefully this one will be approved, and then I'll get another batch ordered, and that should be with me in another week to 10 days or so, and then I'll be able to ship them out if you've pre-ordered. I've also been looking at the website over this year. You might not have seen that, a lot of that's happened in the background. We were thinking that the website would need to be down over Christmas, but in actual fact it looks like we're going to be able to keep our previous web store running until the new one is ready to switch over. So if you go to oakbound.co.uk, you'll get a very worrying message at the moment about security certificates. That's because I haven't purchased my security certificate yet. But if you click through that, you'll get a link to go back to our main website, or you can go straight to our main website, which is propworkshop.co.uk/Oakbound. And Prop Workshop is the props and model making side of my business. So we're splitting the two out. Previously, they sort of existed, Oakbound as a sideline to the props business. We're now splitting them out, so Oakbound is its own entity and has its own site in its own right. Hopefully scaling that up. So that has been another thing that I've been able to work on during lockdown, and of course a shed load of painting. So I think at the start of this year I saw a 2020 painting challenge, which was something like paint 20 miniatures this year. I haven't done a full count. I will do a full count because I will be interested to see what it is, but I think it's probably more in the region of 200. It may be plus that miniatures. Certainly my to-do shelves just behind me here are looking a lot more depleted. Some of my favourite things that I painted this year, I painted up that Hero Quest diorama that I've been sort of partially itching to get going on with for ages, but also being really reluctant to because I wanted to do it justice, and I think I have done it justice. I'm very pleased with the way that looks out. I know I need to take proper photographs of it. The ones that I had were a bit under poor lighting conditions. I need to light it properly and photograph it properly, but very happy with how that turned out. I've also been revisiting a lot of other Hero Quest stuff and advanced Hero Quest stuff. I managed to get hold of, thank you Jason, some advanced Hero Quest prototype miniatures, and got those painted up. And we're doing some Oakbound painting competitions. No, not specifically Oakbound miniatures, but miniatures that you might already have kicking around and might not otherwise get onto to painting. So we did an ugly miniature competition. Oh, not a competition, a challenge, I guess. An ugly miniature challenge. We did an old miniature challenge. We did a big miniature challenge. If big miniature isn't too much of a contradiction. What else did we do? Like a sci-fi challenge, a woodsy, folky, Celtic, folkloric creature challenge, and we can do some of those next year maybe. I've already renamed the Facebook group from the lockdown challenges to the Oakbound challenges. So yeah, let's continue that next year and try and find some fun things to do that are not restrictive, so you can be as general with those as you like. Managed to paint up a load of wood elves, managed to paint up a load of orcs, managed to paint up a load of Empire stuff, a load of Imperial Guard things, loads of things. I still haven't finished painting up my undead. They have moved now, they're relocated here to the top shelf above me, which was emptied of models to do, but I still haven't finished properly sort of tweaking them and basing them. Maybe that's a Dead December thing to do, although Dead December is probably nearly over by now. what I have been working on is a bunch of townsfolk, which I will show you at a later point, because that's something that I want to move on to next year. But I will do a video in a couple of weeks' time on looking forward to what I hope will be happening in the next year. Going back to some highlights of the year, I've also done quite a lot of scenery building this year, which was nice. Did a few trees earlier in the year, and tried to do some kind of tutorial videos as well, a bit of the sculpting, but quite a lot of the model making. So you've probably seen those, you may have seen those, I don't know. May have seen them, may have liked them. Let me know what you think, if you'd like to see some more sort of tutorial-y videos rather than just me sort of sitting and chatting. This first year I've tried to sort of experiment with a few different formats, so we've done a couple of interviewy things, we've done a couple of tutorial-y things, we've done a couple of me chatting about Oakbound and the woods things, me doing some hobby things, we posted some games that were being played, although not able to play games in person, but I still very much hope that we'll get to do that in the new year and film some actual games of the woods or Factious Waste or the Dreamstone, so you can see what they look like, how they play. But yeah, I made a few trees. I haven't yet been to the exhibitions that the trees were featured in, because as far as I know I'm not allowed to go to the exhibitions. And of course did the Dunringle for Broadswords and Beasts blog, so do check that out if you haven't seen that already. That was a lot of fun to do. Feels like it's been a really short year though. It feels like I've been cracking on with stuff, but it still feels like it was only yesterday that it was April and nice warm sunshine outside and we were going for walks. So yeah, been a very odd year. I'm sure it's been a very odd year for you as well. I hope it hasn't been too hideous a year for you. Let me know what were your highlights in terms of our videos. I mean, let me know what your highlights of your personal year were as well, because that's interesting. But yeah, let me know what your highlights of the Oakbound videos of the year were, and maybe I'll try and do some more of those next year. Next week, I'm hoping to have another guest on, so do stay tuned for that one. That will be a special Christmassy edition, because it will be very, very soon before Christmas. I know you'll all be very, very busy wrapping presents and maybe travelling to see family, but also please do check out the video, because it will be a lot of fun. And the week after that, moving into the new year, I'll be looking at what we're going to be hopefully doing in the year ahead. I mean, we can't predict, can we? Because look at what happened this year. But as far as we know, our plans for what we're going to be doing next year. So join us again then.